So this channel is run by Glenn Greenwald, and we're going to talk about how Israeli agents, not Americans, not Australians, not Canadians, not British, they're Israeli spies, Israeli agents, infiltrate the West and basically steal all of our wealth and control our political system. So this is Glenn Greenwald's channel. I highly recommend it. I'll try to put a link in the description as well.
Gen Z have an unfavorable impression of Israel. And my friends, I think the reason for that is that we're losing the digital war. Okay, they're getting their information from TikTok and whatever it is, and we're losing that war. When you think about it, the masters of the universe are Jews. You know, we've got...
Did you hear that? The masters of the universe are the Jews. And every Israeli agent in Australia right now thinks this as well. Don't be naive to what's happening in Australia. And the only reason the Overton window has opened enough for us to be able to talk about this is because the Israeli agents are starting to destroy the United States, and the powers within the United States have now started to give us the freedom to talk about something that we've been forbidden to talk about for the last 40 years. Just keep in mind what's going on.
We got Zuckerberg, we got...
So, I just want to note a couple things before I show you the rest. He's saying there that, first of all, there's these places where people who are young Americans, Gen Z, are getting this information that's turning them against Israel, and the example he led with was TikTok.
Order food you love with Food Panda. Download the app and order now. Download the Trip.com app. Set up price drop alerts to easily find flights within your budget.
Because as we've shown you many times before, the reason the TikTok ban finally got enacted after lingering in Washington for 4 years was not because of fear of China, but because of people becoming convinced in the Congress that there was too much Israel criticism, too much pro-Palestinian sentiment circulating on TikTok, and it was turning young Americans against Israel. And
yeah, like people like myself were talking about banning WeChat, but that didn't get off the ground because the Israelis didn't allow people like myself to protect Australia. Analysts like myself pointing out obvious flaws in how we defend ourselves. Why? Because the Israelis don't care about Australia, they don't care about America. All they want is to extract as much political power, wealth, military, technology, etc. for Israel. Basically parasites on our country. Parasites.
Couldn't allow that, and that's why they voted to ban it. Now, just by the way, the deadline for banning TikTok has come and gone 90 days ago, more than 90 days ago, and Trump is pretty much ignoring it and just saying, like, yeah, at some point we'll do a sale in order to keep TikTok going, and you barely hear anyone complaining about that. But, so he's saying TikTok is where a lot of the sentiment came from, and we had to do something about that, and that's where the TikTok ban came from.
Yeah, you'll notice a lot of the so-called, quote-unquote, right-wing people who pretend to be for freedom of speech and the rights of the native, the Americans that built the country, or the Australians or Canadians that built the country. Well, they're all Israeli agents, and they're happy to be pro-free speech while simultaneously censoring people at the same time. This is what Israeli agents do. They play both sides. They create the lockdowns, they create COVID and spread it around the world, and then all of their agents get out there and become anti-lockdown, anti-COVID, anti-this. They create all of the trans and all the LGBTQ, LMNOP, crazy stuff that goes on, and then they come out and go against it. They create the problem and the solution.
Imagine banning an app in the United States that a third of the country voluntarily chooses to use, tens of millions of people, because there's too much criticism of foreign country allowed on it. But that's what the U.S. government did. But he's also saying, and when I first heard it, I thought he was being ironic or sarcastic or satirical, like mocking what an anti-Semite would say, but no, he's not. You're going to see, but you just saw this in the clip. I'm going to play it again. He's saying, look, the solution is obvious. The masters of the universe are Jews. We, Jews, have the masters of the universe on our side. They're part of us. It goes on to list a bunch of examples like Mark Zuckerberg. You're going to hear that. Could you imagine if anybody who was critical of Israel said that? Oh, look, all the masters of the universe are Jewish. You would be destroyed as an anti-Semite in a minute. But you can say
Yeah, but you're not allowed to have a voice. Only they are.
the same exact thing as long as you're saying it in support of Israel and nobody blinks an eye. Here's what he said.
And whatever it is, and we're losing that war. When you think about it, the masters of the universe are Jews. You know, we've got Altman and AI, we got Zuckerberg, we got Sergey Brin, we got the group across the board, Jan Combs, head of founded WhatsApp. It's us. And we have to figure out a way to win the digital battle. Amelia, we got to get our digital speakers on
So they're mobilizing their agents on social media everywhere. And many of their agents now are pretending to be Christians and Catholics. But you also notice that none of them said anything about the passing of the Pope. No one cared about the passing of the Pope. None of these agents, none of these leaders said anything during Easter, you see? But as soon as anything happens with Israel, they're right out there, loud and proud, because they're our enemies. They're the agents that control the social media. They're the agents that control the mainstream media. And you're not allowed to have a voice. So wake up. Have a look around yourself. And Glenn Greenwald here is doing a magnificent job. Magnificent in the United States. But what we need to also be aware of is that Australia has been infiltrated worse than the United States. Australia's been infiltrated worse. And it's happening all around you, and inflation's getting out of control because all of our money's been sent abroad. China's able to circumnavigate our country now with their navy and do live fire drills off the coast of Sydney, Australia, and we don't even know about it because our military was designed to help Israel. Our military wasn't designed, and we don't have a navy because all of our money was sent to the Middle East. Your lives, your standard of living, your future is all at risk. And the people who run Australia, these Israeli spies, they're now flooding you with so many immigrants that they're going to drown you out and they're going to destroy Australia. Australia's going to become so poor, and they don't care about your life because what they're going to do is extract everything from Australia and leave it defenseless, poor, flooded with so many immigrants that it collapses the country. And then these parasites, and that's what they are, they're parasites, they will then go to a new host when Australia collapses. And that's your future.